Like if the UFC went away, the PFL would probably take up the slack. PFL is going to get people to pay attention. There's one who's really interesting, who's this monster.
When he calls someone dangerous, you listen. And when he spoke about Dakota Ditcheva, he didn't just compliment her. He warned the entire division, describing her as a beast, a problem, and one of the most exciting rising fighters in the sport. What makes it even more alarming is what Rogan pointed out that most people overlook. She appears calm, composed, and almost harmless on the outside, but once she steps inside the cage, she turns violent.
Women want to be equal. And believe me when I tell you, women have proved here that they are equal. They have absolutely proven themselves. And people love the women's fights. These women become big stars.
Be the face of women's MMA. You're on that path. It's there.
Just scare me a little bit, that people are putting all this faith in me. Although I know I'm going to do that anyway. I'm going to be the face of female MMA. I know that's one of my goals, to inspire and things like that. And I want to be the best.
I never expected these women to be as technical and as badass as they have been.
Can be daunting at times that I've kind of got all this kind of media and stuff like that on me. But,
Let's talk facts. Dakota Ditcheva has 15 fights and 15 wins, with 12 knockouts. That's not just winning, that's domination. She doesn't outpoint opponents or simply survive fights. She finishes them quickly, violently, and often early. Her Muay Thai style is built for destruction, featuring brutal body shots, sharp knees, relentless pressure, and, most importantly, zero hesitation. Now, things are even more interesting because Dana White wasn't always fully sold on her, but his tone has completely changed, calling her very good mean nasty, which in Dana White language is elite-level praise. He has even admitted he was wrong about her, and when Dana White says that, it signals something big is coming. Now consider Valentina Shevchenko, the most complete fighter in the division, an elite striker, high-level grappler, and a fighter with world-class fight IQ. But the concern is she has never faced someone like this. Dakota doesn't fight safe. She overwhelms with speed, volume, and pressure, creating chaos inside the cage. And that's exactly where even champions can struggle. This matchup is terrifying because it's a clash of styles. Dakota Ditcheva brings aggression, knockout power, and relentless forward pressure, while Shevchenko brings precision, control, and elite experience. But here's the key difference. Dakota forces mistakes, and if Valentina makes even one, it could be over. This isn't just hype. This is what Joe Rogan and Dana White are really highlighting when they talk about her rise. Dakota Ditcheva looks inevitable. She's young, undefeated, and finishing everyone in front of her, and sooner or later, she's coming for the top level of the sport. When that happens, the flyweight division may never look the same again. So the question becomes, if Dakota Ditcheva faces Valentina Shevchenko, who wins? Does the champion prove she is still levels above, or does the undefeated knockout machine shock the world? Either way, this is the kind of matchup that defines eras, because in MMA, hype disappears the moment the cage door closes.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
Fun.
Ronda Rousey is reportedly preparing to return to fighting at 39 years old, and she isn't planning to do it quietly. Reports suggest she is targeting a high-profile super fight before potentially stepping away from MMA for good. Rousey built one of the most historic runs in combat sports history, finishing her career with a professional record 12 wins and 2 losses, including 9 submissions and 3 knockouts. She didn't just win fights, she ended them before they truly began.
She's in trouble. Dakota Ditcheva to the button again for a championship.
Ronda Rousey became the first women's bantamweight champion in UFC history and finished 11 of her first 12 opponents, most of them in the first round, with dominant victories over fighters like Miesha Tate and Kat Zingano that turned her into a global superstar. Her signature armbar became one of the most feared submission weapons in MMA history. But Rousey wasn't just a grappler. Later in her UFC career, she developed serious knockout power as well, and her 34-second destruction of Beta Correa proved she could finish fights on the feet too. She was evolving into an even more dangerous fighter until 2 losses changed everything. A shocking knockout defeat to Holly Holm, followed by a brutal 48-second loss to Amanda Nunes. Those defeats didn't just end Ronda's reign. They marked the end of an entire era of dominance in women's MMA.
The nation that clinches. Hey. Oh, the clinch is really working for Ditcheva. She gets the knee, finds its way to the face of Samiko Naga, and an elbow from Dakota. Want to be here, back against the fence. All these, the left hand.
While Ronda stepped away, a new generation began to rise and take over. One of the leading names in that evolution is Dakota Ditcheva, the undefeated striker dominating professional fighters' league women's flyweight division. She holds a professional record of 15 wins and 0 losses, backed by an elite Muay Thai background. Dakota isn't just winning fights. She is dismantling opponents with surgical striking and brutal body shot finishes. She became the first British female MMA world champion after defeating Tyler Santos, and continued her momentum by dominating rising contenders like Sumiko Inaba, further proving her consistency and finishing ability at the highest level.
And that was well, Ramush can be proud of hers as well.
She represents speed, precision, and the modern striking style that many analysts believe would have been Ronda Rousey's worst stylistic matchup. However, recent momentum has been interrupted after Dakota withdrew from a scheduled bout with Denise Kiel-Holtz due to a fractured right hand, along with other injuries that have temporarily halted her rise. In MMA, however, setbacks often create opportunity. Now imagine the matchup: a returning legend versus an undefeated modern striker in her prime. Stylistically, this fight is terrifying. Ronda Rousey brings Olympic-level judo, devastating clinch throws, world-class submissions, and relentless forward pressure, while Dakota Ditcheva brings elite Muay Thai striking, championship-level pace and endurance, lightning-fast footwork, and advanced defensive striking. This is not just grappler versus striker. It is evolution versus legacy. MMA history has shown a harsh pattern. Legends who return rarely get safe matchups. They face fighters built to replace them. Dakota represents exactly that kind of threat. What makes this story even more explosive is a contrast in eras. Ronda Rousey helped build women's MMA into a global sport, and without her, the division might not have reached the massive platform it has today. But Dakota Ditcheva represents how far the sport has evolved. Faster striking, more complete skill sets, and a deeper global talent pool. Fans remain divided. Some believe Ronda's grappling would overwhelm Dakota, while others think Dakota's striking and pace would produce another generational upset. If this fight ever becomes reality, it would be one of the biggest cross-era matchups in women's MMA history. Pioneer versus future, legacy versus evolution.
Wow, right down! Look at that! Oh, man. That brought to you by Bud Light, Joe. Pleasant fist for whatever happens. Ronda wants to make it happen quickly. Now she gave her She gave her over. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. That is way under a minute. Wow. That's unbelievable. That's crazy.
Sprinkle by TK or KO, I will tell you the confidence that she's going to have down getting up is going to be unbelievable.
And there it is. Beautiful knee from the plum. And Ditcheva can Jenna Bishop back to her feet and goes immediately on the attack. Trouble. And that does it. First round finish at Dakota Ditcheva silent.
Ronda Rousey has sent a message that immediately set the MMA world on fire, and fans can't stop talking about it. The former UFC queen, who once finished almost every opponent in the first round, has broken her silence. And what she said may have sparked one of the biggest women's MMA rivalries of all time. This wasn't just respect. It came with a warning. Addressing Dakota Ditcheva, Rousey made it clear: "You're fast, you're flashy, but I'll show you what real pain looks like." This isn't just a call-out anymore. It's being framed as Ronda Rousey versus Dakota Ditcheva, the legend against the undefeated rising force. Whether this ever becomes reality or stays as hype, one thing is certain. The entire MMA world is watching, waiting, and debating what would happen if this clash of eras finally stepped into the cage.
Come here. Come here. Yeah.
Before dismissing Ronda Rousey as finished, think again. Rousey once held a record of 12-2 with 12 first-round finishes, and at her peak, nobody in women's MMA dominated like she did. Then came the fall. Losses to Holly Holm and Amanda Nunes, two defeats that changed the trajectory of her career forever. Now, years later, her name is once again circulating in headlines. Reports and speculation suggest that Rousey may be feeling the urge to return, and even Dana White has hinted at the possibility of her comeback conversation resurfacing. This time, however, the rumored focus isn't Amanda Nunes or Juliana Pena. It's Dakota Ditcheva, the undefeated rising force from the PFL. In her latest appearance, Ronda Rousey didn't hold back. She said, "Everyone keeps saying Dakota is the next big thing. I was the first big thing, and I can still break her arm in 30 seconds. That line instantly broke the internet. MMA Twitter exploded, with fans posting side-by-side highlight reels comparing Dakota's knee strikes to Ronda's arm bars, and the reaction was sharply divided. Some argued Ronda should stay retired before risking her legacy, while others insisted she could still submit Dakota in another dimension. The debate only intensified the question. Is Ronda chasing attention, or is she genuinely serious about a comeback for one last fight? To be clear, Dakota Ditcheva is not just hype. She is 15-0, a young champion in the PFL, and one of the most promising female fighters in MMA history. She brings Muay Thai precision, aggressive pressure, and elite finishing instincts, backed by titles in amateur circuits and rapid professional success. Every fight follows the same pattern. Opponents enter confident, but often leave overwhelmed or finished. That's exactly why Ronda's comments carry weight. Because whether it's confidence, nostalgia, or real intent, the idea of her facing a new generation striker like Dakota turns this into more than talk. It becomes a collision of eras, legacies, and unfinished stories in women's MMA.